last time we were here, we talked about how the insurable risk is a benefit to the insured. For a few weeks now, I've been talking about risk, the importance of insurance. We've been looking at how insurance play in risk and all that. So today we want to look at another topic on risk and insurance, which is what role does insurance play in contingency planning? So today we'll be talking about the role of insurance in contingency planning. As you all know, in organizations, so different organizations have their different kinds of contingency planning. What do we mean by contingency planning? These are plans that organizations put in place that in case, even though, yes, we said insurance cater for unforeseen contingency and all that. So even as organizations too, we always have this plan that in case, we always foresee that in case this thing happens, what are we going to do? What are the action plans we are going to take? And this contingency plan, every organization has the risk managers. There are some organizations that they have a department called risk management department. So in most organizations, yes, in the context of risk management, everybody should be trained to be aware of the risks they are exposed to. But as an organization, as an entity, we have organizations do have the department that are saddled with the responsibility of trying to oversee, to highlight, to identify the risk exposures of the organization. So this is always saddled with the risk managers are always saddled with such responsibilities. So it is the responsibility of the risk managers to look at the nature of the operational, what the organizations do and what are their risk exposures. Now, when the risk managers now look at their exposures, there's what in risk management, there's what we talk about risk identification, then you look at how to evaluate it and all that, then you provide solution. So where we are going this evening is the treatment aspect of risk, that how risks are being treated. We have several ways of treating risk. I highlighted 4 of them here. Now, some of the ways risk are being treated are risk avoidance, risk control, risk transfer, and risk financing. When we talk about risk avoidance, when you are aware of the risk you are exposed to, you look at it. Is it the one? When you have the knowledge of it, when you have the knowledge, the problem that is known is half solved. So the saying, when you have a problem, when you are aware of your problem, that problem is half solved, because the next thing is for you to think of how to overcome the problem. So also in the risk situation, the risk balance, you look at, this risk, is it the risk that we can avoid? If it is the risk that the organization can avoid, to be communicated to everybody in the organization, then they put measures in place to avoid such risk. So that's a way of treating risk. Then we can treat risk through control. Look at risk control. Then we look at this risk, this exposure. How do we manage it? How do we control it? Then that is another way to treat risk. Then we look at risk financing. Then we look at, how do we finance this risk? Then where we'll be dwelling this evening is the risk transfer. Because what we are discussing this evening is we want to look at the role of insurance. What role insurance play in contingency planning? So when you're not treating risk, the aspect that insurance comes up in risk treatment is the aspect of the risk transfer. So the risk in risk transfer, you try to look, when you highlight your risk, you know that, these are the risks you are exposed to, then you look at how to transfer it. When you talk about risk transfer, is it that you what you actually transfer is the burden that, in case this thing happens, how do you salvage the situation? How, so that is what to transfer. Like, let's say for instance, okay, I don't want to give this example now. Let me move to the next slide. Let's see. I will give you an example later because I have a picture that we can use to talk about the example. Now, we said when it comes to using a medium or mechanism for risk transfer, insurance readily comes to play. Most people know that insurance, is a form of risk transfer. But the question now is, do we do it? Do we make use of that mechanism? Do we make use of that medium or mechanism that is available in insurance? So when we are looking at risk transfer, there are other means you can transfer your risk, but the conventional and the most widely used is insurance. So now I have a picture that I want us to use to depict what is going on. That look like from this picture before us. This is a typical, like a factory picture, and in a factory. Now, the risk manager of this factory, like this one is like a biscuit factory. I just want to use this as a case study or as an example to buttress what I'm talking about this evening. Now, this factory, as a risk manager, would have highlighted their exposures. That, like in this factory, from what we can see from this picture, we know that they are into production of biscuits. So they are making use of machines. They are making, human beings are working there. They are making use of machinery, and they are inside the building. So they have a lot of exposures. Now, for example, if we not say, oh, in the treatment of the risk of this company or this factory, the risk manager would have highlighted that, would have made his presentation to the management that in this factory there is exposure of fire. The building can be, is exposed to be, there's a risk of the building being raised down in fire. There's a risk of the machinery being the machinery can break down. Now that can stop the flow of the production. Even the human beings that are working there may be accident. There may be a risk of their hands being chopped up by the machine. So there is a lot of risk that is exposed to them. So they will not look at it that, how do we treat all this risk? And one of the ways they will now begin to highlight that we want to treat this risk is by say, okay, when the factory is raised down, then let's look at fire. Let us look at fire insurance, so that when in the case of fire, when fire occurs, they know that at least they have transferred the body of salvaging of rebuilding the factory. They know that insurance will compensate them of getting the money back to rebuild the factory. In case of maybe the humans, the people that are working in the factory, in case there is an accident and maybe the hand is cut off, there will be an insurance in place that, okay, if you cannot work again, at least you'll be compensated. So these are some of the things that insurance look into. So insurance is a risk, is one of the way you treat risk, and is a risk transfer mechanism. Now I want us to look at the characteristics. We'll use these characteristics to still further buttress what I'm discussing this evening. Now, the other time we talked about insurable risk. We said insurable risk are pure risks, financial risk, and the particular risk. Now, what look at the characteristics of insurable risk? We have high severity, low frequency, and we have high frequency, low severity. I'll still come back to my picture to cite the example. Now, the first one that I want to examine, high severity, low frequency. Now, in this factory, there is exposure I mean, there's risk exposure of, I mean, the factory can catch fire. If this factory should catch fire, it will be fatal. It will be, the severity will be high, although it is not frequent. I'm discussing high severity, low frequency. No, it may not be happening all the time. The possibility of the factory getting fire, the frequency is low, might be low, but when it eventually occurs, the severity will be high. So that is what I mean. What do I mean by severity? The impact. When the fire accident occur in this factory, the impact, it may be a colossal accident, it may be a fatal accident. The impact will be high. That is the severity. So in insurance, we talk about severity and frequency. So, but the frequency of the probability of the fire occurring, the frequency is low. It may not occur. In fact, if the risk manager has recommended that, oh, let's put on fire policy year in, year out for the next 10 years, they may be doing fire insurance in this factory, and there may not be fire. But the day the fire will occur, it might be so fatal. So the severity will be high. So that is an example of the insurable risk, the characteristics of insurable risk, that in the treatment of risk, when we opt for risk transfer mechanism, which is like an example of insurance, then the risk that is insurable is usually it is high in severity and low in frequency. I hope we can relate with that. Now let's look at the second example I have here. I have high frequency, low severity. High frequency, low severity. Now, even from the factory, we can even still look at high frequency, low severity. Now, from the production of that biscuit, no, as they are doing as they are making the production, there may be the machine can stop working. Maybe we call it machinery breakdown. It may be that if they have done the machinery breakdown insurance, I mean, the insurance will still cater for it, but the severity of it might not be much. It may just be that maybe it may just affect maybe one production, though they will recall a loss, but the severity may not be as high as when it is fire accident. Then another example we can look at is like in a car accident too. Now, outside the factory now, like in a car accident, I mean, most times there are so many car accidents that does not result into fatal accidents. So you have frequency of car being accidented, but it may not be as severe. So we have high frequency, low severity. So the characteristics of insurable risk are high severity risk and low frequency risk, or high frequency risk and low severity risk. So these are the way, these are how insurance come to play when we are talking about the role of insurance in contingency planning. The contingency planning is actually the process of envisaging, as an organization, you envisage that, oh, this loss can occur. So you put your contingency plan in place. That is the way you want to respond to that loss when it occurs. So you put the risk managers are always saddled with that responsibility. They put on their thinking cap that, oh, in case this thing happen, what are the provisions you have made? What are the provisions you have put in place in case this loss occurs? So apart from the factory I've cited as an example, I mean, there are several instances of where insurance can play, where insurance play prominent role in contingency planning. Even as individuals in our individual homes, we do put our contingency plans in place. Talking about life insurance is a form of contingency plan. If as a breadwinner of the home, you look at it, even though you are not expecting death, but because of the love you have for your loved ones, you are like, oh, let me put insurance in place, life insurance policy. Let me put it in place in case I'm no more there. You know, you have planned that you want your children. I mean, you have planned the best of education for your children. But you look at it that you put on your thinking cap as a breadwinner, that in case anything happens, you put life insurance policy in place. So it's still a form of, no, it is still insurance playing a role in contingency planning. So apart from organization putting contingency plan in place, as individuals in our various homes, as individuals, we can also put on contingency plan. Even you buy your car, you insure it against fire, against theft, against, it is still a contingency plan, because when you now put insurance in place, you know that you have that peace of mind that in case anything happens to this your object or to this your property that you have insured, you know that you know that insurance is there to compensate you. You know, insurance is there to indemnify you. So insurance plays a vital role in risk transfer mechanism. Insurance plays vital role in contingency planning, because contingency planning is a process of you thinking ahead. You know, you are thinking ahead, not that you are being pessimistic. No, when you are putting contingency plan in place, it is not out of pessimism. It's not that you are being pessimistic about issues of life or about situations around you. No, but you are just trying to look at, you are just looking at it that it's just like when we started this topic on risk, I told us that risk is, you know, when you are not certain, it's a probability of loss occurring. Actually, then you are not certain about it. It may occur, it may not occur. So if you see yourself in that situation that, oh, this thing it may occur, it may not occur, you've been able to identify your exposures, your risk exposures, that it may occur, it may not occur. So the onus is on you to put contingency plan in place. What if it occurs? What if the loss occurs? Then you put contingency plan in place. And we have discussed this evening some of the ways we treat our risk. We said we can avoid risk, we can control risk, we can fund it, and our highlight is on the risk transfer, and which is we are now taking insurance as the example of the risk transfer. The method of transferring risk. So the onus is on us as individuals, as corporate organizations, to always put contingency plan in place, because when you put contingency plan in place, it puts your mind at peace, it puts your mind at rest. You know that if this thing had occurred, if you have highlighted the exposure, you know, you have looked at it that, oh, you can transfer the risk to the insurance company, and you have picked up your insurance policy, your mind is at peace. You know that when it occurs, insurance is there. You can always call on your insurer to compensate you. I believe we can all relate with that. I want to stop at this time, and let me see if I have anyone that wants to ask questions. There's no other question. There's no question, I can continue. But do I have anyone in the house who wants to contribute? Those of you joining me on Facebook Live, I want to appreciate you. And those that will even still watch this meeting later, I want to appreciate you. So, do I have anybody raising hand? Okay, I'll continue. So, what have discussed this evening, we have discussed the role of insurance, the role insurance play in contingency planning. And we have been made to understand that contingency planning, it's a process of envisaging, a process of putting plan in place that in case a loss occurs, what are the action plans you will do? You know, a contingency planning is a process of thinking ahead of situation that in case this loss occur, what will I do? As an organization, what do we do? And most organizations, they have a department, called risk management department, that the people there, what the personnel there, they are saddled with the responsibility of thinking for the organization. The risk managers, they put on the thinking cap, they think for the organization. They look at overall health risk exposure of the organization and provide solutions to it. And we have been able to say that one of those solutions we prefer as a form of risk treatment is risk transfer. And that is where insurance comes to play. So insurance is a vital organ of risk treatment in risk management. And we said that even aside organization, as individuals in our homes, we have the onus is on us to always put on contingency plan. So that is what we have discussed. That's, you know, when we started risk few weeks ago, you know, we have talked about insurable risk, we talked about non-insurable risk, and you know, I've been talking about risk for some time now. I believe you are following me, and if you are joining me for the first time and you are hearing about risk, you can go back to my YouTube channel, Grace Ojo blog channel. You can always, play the past. You can always play my past meetings. And if you happen to visit my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. So those are the things I've been able to discuss again this evening, and I've been able to highlight it again. So do I still have someone in the house who want to ask questions?
Good evening, madam.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for your effort.
Thank you for joining me this evening, sir.
Thank you for the good job you are doing.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to chip in a few things
to
corroborate what you've said.
Okay,
contingency planning is not only for corporate bodies. Individuals should engage in contingency planning.
Yes, sir.
We are responsible for our responsibilities. As a corporate organization are exposed to unexpected happenings, so the individuals. So what are the things that could happen? Looking at our environment and from our experiences from since we were born. Nobody prays for any bad thing, but it's part of life to be challenged. So when the challenges are thrown up by nature, are we ready for it? Can we absorb it? How can we shield ourselves from these unexpected situations? Like flood, fire that we mentioned, there could be flood that could cause damage. So are we ready to make good the unexpected loss that could arise therefrom? If the fire happens as well, are we ready for it? Nobody prays for all these mishaps, but they are part of life. As long as we are alive, we are bound to be tested. So in my own faith, God said that, do you think you will enter paradise without being tested? Part of the test, only God knows, it can come from any form. Loss of vehicle, loss of life, loss of health, or what have you. And God has given us wisdom or reasoning faculty, by which we now created insurance, which we can pass some of these risks to. You know, not all risks are insurable. You cannot insure all risks, but the one that can be passed to other body, like insurance company, at a very minimum cost, you should be able to do that, so that when it happens, nobody will make mess of you. I can remember vividly well when I lost my vehicle in 1991. Some people were rejoicing. There's a long team now she is going to replace it. But unfortunately for them, because I had the insurance in place, I was not troubled. Even some of my friends that were together, so that, why are you so confident? As if you have a lot of money. that to replace it. After 3 months, because it's a theft claim, I was compensated. I had money to it, and I bought something bigger. And I told the person that was rejoicing, I bought another one. If you are the one behind it, tell them to come and steal it. I will buy another one. And what I've been doing, even before my vehicle or my item or any property gets home, I will first visit or call my broker, include it, because I can. It's very cheap. It's very cheap to have insurances. Like the fire is your item, household items. 0.425 means you have to contribute that amount 400 years, because before you can add up to the amount or the value, who will be around the 400 years. But as long as you are alive, if anything happens yourselves against mishap, so that people will not, you may not appreciate what you have until you lose it. Then you realize that a lot of people that are laughing at you or laughing with you, they don't even like you. They don't like you. They'll be making jest of you. In order not to be made jest of, insurance is very key. And everybody, it's not only corporate, but the individuals should engage in contingency planning because of the risk of life we are involved in. Until we leave this earth, we continue to face challenges. And God will protect us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your contribution, Mr. Fatai. I really appreciate it, sir. So do I have another person who wants to contribute or ask question? So contingency planning actually is meant for everybody. As individual, corporate organization, we are all meant to have this. We have to be risk conscious and put contingency planning in place. And part of the contingency planning is insurance. You transfer your risk to your insurer. And that is why we, your brokers, we are there for you. So it's just a call on us to do the justice to your insurance needs. If you have any insurance needs, the contacts are on the screen, info@graceojoblog.org, info@dimberconsultancyservices.org. And also reach out to me on 080-269-40605. So all our past meeting, you can always go back at your leisure and look at them and watch them on the YouTube channel, Grace Ojo blog channel. So I want to appreciate every one of us. Do I still have another person who wants to give ask question? Let me read okay, PRM unit. Okay, yes, enterprise risk management. Yes, Madam Kemi, I really appreciate you, ma'am. Yes, as an organization, the unit that is saddled with the risk management is the enterprise risk management unit. Thank you, ma'am, for that contribution. So even as individuals, as organization, we should all engage in contingency planning. It's a level, it's us having understanding of our environment, of our exposure. You have your car, you are saying in Jesus' name, nothing will happen to it. You are not being realistic. You should put insurance in place. You are into business, you are like, nothing will happen to my business without doing the needful. You are just wasting your time. Not that God don't answer prayer, but the onus is on you to do the needful. So, do I have another person who wants to ask question? In the absence of no question, actually, our time is up. I want to appreciate everybody. You know, this program is just 30 minutes interactive session with Grace Ojo. And I really want to appreciate everyone that has always been joining me, and those of you that still watch it on the YouTube or on Facebook, because it keeps it's always there on Facebook. You can always see it. So I really want to appreciate everybody, and let's meet again next week. Let's meet again next week by 5:30, between 5:30 and 6. So this program, just like I told us when I started this program, is to bridge the knowledge gap in the insurance industry. Now, this program is to enlighten the insuring public about what insurance is all about. To know that insurance, a lot of people have erroneous ideas or erroneous beliefs about insurance. And it is because we do not have in-depth understanding of insurance. So that is why this program is out, to give us the in-depth understanding of what insurance is all about. I started this program on the 1st of September 2021, last year. So I've uploaded a lot of video, over 30 video on YouTube. I still have some that I've not even uploaded. So you can always go back. Once you type Grace Ojo, you see the YouTube, it will come up. You can always go back to check on any topic. Even if you are thinking of insurance topic, just go to my YouTube, Grace Ojo blog channel. You will get information about all these insurance topics. I really want to appreciate everyone. So let's meet again next week. Same time next week between 5:30 and 6 p.m. I want to appreciate every one of you that's joined me and those that will still watch this program later. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you too, Ma.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Ma. Madam Yuandi. Thank you. Thank you, Ofanme. Thank you, Lawyer Falarisho.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone. You have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.
Yes, Ma.